Hello everybody, Chris here again with CD2 Wrestling. Happy New Year. Hope everybody had a good time. But we're getting back to work. And today we are doing our Raw review for the January 1st edition of Monday Night Raw. And we start off the new year with actually a backstage segment of Alexa Bliss getting upset because Kurt Angle set up a match for Alexa Bliss versus Asuka later in the show. And he's like, well, get over it because, it wasn't a title match. It wasn't a title match. So he was like, it could have been a lot worse. But we'll get back to that later. So after that, we have Angle go out to the ring and talk about how 2017 was his best year in his career because of becoming a Hall of Famer and coming back to WWE and stuff like that. Everybody talks about how the last year was and about how much better 2018 is going to be because of the Royal Rumble that is coming. For the women's match, we didn't know a whole lot about, which he brought up that it's going to be the same as pretty much the men's. It's going to have 30 contestants over the rope, single elimination. Whoever wins gets the championship opportunity at WrestleMania between whoever wins. And the men's is the same as this year. If we remember one time, there's the 40 as well as the championship thing they did a couple years ago. But as of today, as of this, it's still the normal 30 women over the rope elimination. So as he's bringing that up, he gets interrupted by the Bar, who are upset about how they lost their titles last week and how they felt like Jason Jordan was being given special favors because he deserving of getting it and blah 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 blah. And of course Jason Jordan comes out and is like, oh, I deserved it and I won whatever. And then so then Kurt Angle sets up a match between Cesaro and Jason Jordan, which before the match gets started, Seth Rollins comes out and was like, hey man, to Jason Jordan, I'm protecting my half of the tag titles. You got to quit being so self-centered. And then the match gets started. The match, it was all right. The crowd wasn't really behind it. It was the crowd were not really into it. I think they're kind of tired of Jason Jordan, because he's kind of getting pushed a bit too much. But Jason Jordan ended up winning the match. It was pretty much Cesaro was just working the legs and the lower body of Jason Jordan for pretty much the entire match, and then a couple of distractions. Sheamus did a couple of distractions, but ultimately got on the last distraction Sheamus tried doing. Rollins comes in to save the partner, and then Jason Jordan gets the win. So wasn't a whole lot to kind of go over. It was the crowd. Like I said, the crowd really wasn't behind it, so it was kind of iffy. After the match, we have a backstage segment with the Intercontinental Champion Roman Reigns talking about the match he has tonight with Samoa Joe, which if everybody was on social media, they know that it is a Intercontinental Championship match without the champion's advantage. So if Roman Reigns gets disqualified, then Samoa Joe wins the title. So that's pretty much what happened with that. Commercial break, right before the commercial break, Bray Wyatt does, his entrance. And then after that, we have Apollo Crews, and they have a match. And it's an alright match. It was a lot better than the first one, I feel like. There was a little bit of offense from both sides. It wasn't as lopsided as the first one we got to see was Cesaro and Jason Jordan. The crowd was behind it more than the other match. But, we were all hoping for Matt Hardy to come out, which he didn't. Bray Wyatt does get the win against Apollo Crews and Titus Worldwide or whatever, that whole brand thing. I still don't get that gimmick, but it's whatever. But we do get to have a promo with Woke and Matt Hardy talking about last week. You guys remember last week, Matt Hardy we got to see Hardy and Wyatt go somewhat against one another in the ring. And so we got to Hardy talks about how he's creating the light from the darkness that Wyatt has had taken over WWE, as this gimmick goes. And then how he will be getting closer and closer to deleting Bray Wyatt. So, it was a good promo. I'm enjoying this feud between the two just because, like, with Bray Wyatt, like, they were doing the thing with Finn Balor and Bray, and it just went weird with Sister Abigail, and it just ended up kind of just fizzling out because of Bray getting sick or whatever at the end of last year. It was October, I think it was. But I think it was, I hopefully this feud, I hope we don't have to wait too long, but I hope it's not like rushed. Since we do have the Rumble coming up, I hope it might be kind of see a match to see him with that. I don't know if WrestleMania might be kind of long for this feud between the two of them, but as I always like to say, we'll just have to wait and see. So, after that match, another backstage segment with Nia Jax about trying to leave the arena. Alexa Bliss was like, wait, I need you to back me up because I'm about to go up against Asuka. And Nia Jax is like, oh, I got to go see how Enzo is because Enzo is sick with the flu. And so she leaves, and Alexa Bliss is like, what, Enzo and Nia? The very odd couple that we have there. Which I can't imagine it not being for the mixed match challenge. It's hard, the tongue twister for me. So with that, then we have Alexa Bliss versus Asuka. Asuka does get the win by submission. Don't quote me on this, but I'm pretty sure this is the longest match Asuka's had since being on the main roster, because most of them have been pretty much squash matches. So I think this is her longest match. And obviously it wasn't a title match. It was a non-title match. So Alexa still is the women's champion. Probably the best match of the night by far. Just, it was entertaining, and it's like the first match you've seen Alexa Bliss like actually worried. Because even when she went up against Nia Jax, she wasn't that worried. But when she's up against Asuka, Alexa Bliss, you could see like the fear, like Asuka and whatever. So it's kind of nice to see that change of character. And at some points you probably thought that Bliss was somehow going to get a win. Was just finally getting some offense against Asuka, because Asuka's just pretty much squashing everybody. So I don't see any. With the women's Rumble match, I don't see anybody else winning but Asuka. I could be wrong. I don't see anybody else kind of doing that, just with all the other competitors. Well, with the other competitors. So who we think is going to be in there? It's going to be an interesting match to say the least. So, after that, we have a video package of kind of the animosity between Roman Reigns and Samoa Joe, which leads into a backstage interview with Samoa Joe with Renee Young, and Joe's just pretty much talking a bunch of smack and kind of just disrespects Dean Ambrose, and saying he's at home, just earning, just wasting his wife's paycheck or whatever. And he gets a lot of heat from that. And then right before jumping ahead a little bit. So after that interview we have with Joe, then we have Braun Strowman go to the ring, do his intro commercial, come back, and it's a match against Rhino, or it starts to be a match with Rhino, and Heath Slater gets involved, and he obviously wins, and he just beats the hell out of those two guys. It was, somewhat entertaining just to see, Rhino trying to toughen up Heath Slater, and then just get completely demolished by Strowman. It destroyed them, and then you have like Kane trying to talk to him about like teaming up to go against Brock Lesnar, and Strowman's like, I'm just gonna beat everybody up. So, and then we have a backstage segment with Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, talking about, let's win one for Dean, blah 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 blah, and then Jason Jordan comes in and makes the segment actually kind of funny, because he was like, if the bar's out there, we'll protect the bar, or we'll take care of the bar if they try to intervene in the match. And so I thought it ended up being kind of funny. So So I did jump ahead a little bit. The Kane and Strowman interaction happened after that commercial break, and then it leads into Kurt Angle's office. Kurt's on the phone talking to somebody about the women's Rumble match, and then Finn Balor comes in, tells him I'm putting myself in the match because he wants his opportunity to reclaim his Universal title that he never lost, because we all remember he got hurt, he had to vacate the title, and he's never been given the opportunity for a million other reasons we can talk about later. But Angle's like, well, I thought you'd be concerned about something else that I did. And in a 6-man tag team match that it's Balor versus the Miz, Taraj, and Elias. And Balor's like, I got that covered when we have his partners be Gallows and Anderson. The other side of the club reuniting. We all remember last year that we had, we got to see Gallows and Anderson with AJ Styles, and at SummerSlam we saw a little bit of the four interacting together, and that was all we got to see. So it was very nice to see. Hopefully we get to see some more. But that match is later. That 6-man tag is later in the night. So then we get, after that whole segment, then we get our Intercontinental Championship match with Roman Reigns. If he loses, if he gets disqualified, he loses the title. Which Roman Reigns does retain. I thought it was a good match. Not the best match of the night. I still think that's the women's match that they had earlier. It was just they beat the hell out of each other again. They'd been doing that. It was just, it was good. It was a good story. I feel like it just, they just beat each other up very quickly. Not quickly, but just beat each other up. I think it wasn't a bad match. It wasn't, the crowd was definitely into it. They didn't boo Reigns as much as they have been in the past, so that was okay. I just see they're just going to keep this feud kind of going for a little bit further, because I don't think they have anything else really for these guys right now. So, which might change because The Miz is coming back to Raw next week. They did have a video segment right at the end talking about that, how The Miz is coming back on TV. So we'll see what happens. But that they talk about that later. I'm jumping ahead again. We have from commercial break, we have the Cruiserweight segment, which starts off with Drew Gulak and Daivari, Daivari? I can't remember his first name. Daivari. And Gulak is reading his letter from Enzo saying how he's sick with the flu and he can't have his championship match. Because you guys remember, we're supposed to have a Cruiserweight championship match between Cedric Alexander and Enzo, which didn't happen. Cedric Alexander comes out, they start kind of whatever with each other, like, oh, I also beat you guys. And so those two guys, Gulak and Daivari, set up a tag team match, and like, well, Alexander has any friends, who's he going to team up with? Which we get Goldust to come out and have a match, and a very bizarre match to say the least, as the announcers like to say a whole lot. It was an alright match. The only cruiserweight action we really got to see, without even having all the cruiserweights there, with Goldust. The You Still Got It chants were quite nice for him. And Alexander gets the win, kind of putting him over for when that eventual match comes. Hopefully he can pull out a win, or we'll see what happens. It was quick, it was fast. It was, it could have been longer, but it was overall an alright match. So for the last match of the night, we get Elias with the Miz, Taraj, doing some singing like Elias likes to do. The Miz, Taraj dedicates the song to the Miz, who we find out will be back to Raw next week. They start singing the song about Miami, and like Elias likes to do, get his heat. Of course, gets interrupted by Gallows and Anderson, and then we have Finn come out. And one thing I did enjoy was with Balor's entrance, he does his arm motions. If you watch, you end up seeing Gallows and Anderson doing it as well, which was kind of cool. I liked personally. I thought it was entertaining for me. And so we actually don't get to see the start of the match. It started in the commercial break, but the club does get the win. Sadly, it was such a short match. I wish we could have got to see a little bit longer, just some more, some more interaction with Balor, Gallows, and Anderson. You get to see more of the club kind of, getting the team up, because we didn't get to see a whole lot of this. It was just super quick. We got to see the finisher ended up being Gallows and Anderson hitting the Magic Killer on both Dallas, and then Balor hitting the coup de grace on him. So they get the win. I don't know if this is going to be either the heel turn for Balor or the face turn for Gallows and Anderson, but hopefully we get to see some more of this with the three of them. Hopefully we get to see some more of the club, because it was a nice pop for everybody. The last segment for Raw was not the match. That was the last match, but the last segment ended up being the promo for Brock Lesnar, which of course Paul Heyman does, because Brock cannot talk very well on the mic. Just trying to say, how much of a beast Brock is, because it's a triple threat match again, and how now the last matches he's had have been triple threats, and how he, it's not challengers, and going yada yada yada. And then Kane comes, choke slams him, Brock Lesnar throws him over the ring, and then we get the locker room to come out and to kind of just separate the two. And that was how Raw ended. Overall, I think it was an alright show. We got to see some good wrestling matches. It wasn't too weird or too slow, but really, besides the first match was just somewhat boring. The rest of them were, I think, quite entertaining. I wish we got to see more of the club. Hopefully we get to see more of that in the future. With the ending, that last segment, I think this is like the third time this is being reused. If it's not been done before more than that. The first time I remember seeing this, like Lesnar against whoever was Lesnar and The Undertaker with SummerSlam in 2015, where it went back, that whole crazy, that whole time where it was like, all right, you're in the ring, and then they got to separate them, and then it was like a 10-minute thing of them separating. Like that was super entertaining. That was super good. And then earlier last year, you had him do that thing with Braun and Brock, and so it was. You feel like they're just using it too much, and I feel like they're just kind of like, they're just kind of running out of stuff to use for these big guys, and so hopefully we. Whether that happens at the Royal Rumble with whoever, if they retain or get a different title, whoever wins the title, hopefully we just get to see some new kind of stuff going on, if that's going to be the main event picture for Raw for right now. So, and that was our Raw review. If you guys watch it on YouTube, if you enjoyed the video, do me a favor, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. If you're watching me on SoundCloud, go ahead and follow me there. Follow me on Twitter, on either one, at Deezeroth. Leave a comment on Twitter or YouTube on how you feel the show went, and what would you like to see in the following Raws. I'll catch you guys next time.